Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 376. Andrew here. And before we talk about Cold Steel, I would, if I may, and I may because it's my podcast, I would like to talk about the demo for Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess, which is a game from Capcom that I believe comes out this week. But they put out a demo a week or two ago, and I played it, and I'd like to tell you what I thunk of it. Now, Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess is one of the few games that stuck out to me during early June when all of the, hey, look at our cool new games coming out, digital presentations were all the rage and had our attention. It's colorful. It has really cool monster design. Capcom's generally very good at monster design. Monster Hunter and, the beastie things in Resident Evil. So that none of that's really surprising. But it had cool monsters, and it had had kind of a Okami, another Capcom game, effect of, it does that thing where you are like making the world a better place, or at least, purifying the rot and the ugliness and the evil from the land, making the trees and the flowers grow and the air clear and the water clear. I love that stuff, So thematically it works for me. It's got real cool monster design. It's nice and colorful. Looked cool. I was excited to play the demo, and for the most part, I thought, hey, Chicago, I thought the game was actually pretty darn cool. It's got a fun little gameplay loop. It looks nice. Whacking monsters up the head upside the head is fun. It has a bunch of extra details that are fun, like you can collect little tablets that show off like woodblock art of the monsters. For some reason, your princess, who you're escorting across the level, you can collect sweets or candies for her. For some reason, I guess she just likes junk food. So do I. So hey. So it works kind of like, if you ever played like Little King's Story, or if not, it's somewhat similar to Pikmin. So you're in an area, and it's daytime, and the idea is there's a gate over on that side of the village that the monsters are going to come pouring out of come nightfall. So you need to get your princess over to the gate so she can do the shimmy shimmy shake and close the demon portal for good. Unfortunately, she walks very, very slow. In fact, she's not even going to start walking until you purify that path for her. She just bought these socks, and she's not going to stain them on that disgusting demon path. So you got to purify the path. In order to do that, you have to run around town shaking your sword with the little tassels on the end at all of the corruption to both expel the corruption and save some of the villagers who are stuck in they've been cocooned in corruption. And that will earn you little points that allow you to purify the path, and she will very slowly walk her ass towards the gate. So, what you do during the day is you fix up the village, you purify it, you collect villagers who you can then assign roles. You can give dudes hatchets to smack enemies with. You can give dudes bow and arrows to bow and arrows things with. Healers, and I saw, I think, 4 varieties. And you can also upgrade them with more strength, more defense, more special moves, things like that. So the idea is, once nightfall hits, hopefully you've got enough villagers and stuff to place around the village to beat back the hordes of demons that come pouring out of the portal. And it's also a nice balance, because hopefully when the demons come pouring out of the portal, your princess isn't standing like right in front of the portal, like she only had 5 feet to go, because they're just gonna swarm her and beat the snot out of her. And she's a nice princess who eats sweets, so we don't want that. So you have to balance how close you get her to the portal. It's like, can I get her actually to the portal by the end of the day, or is she going to end up 5 feet away and overwhelmed by demons? So there are also various traps you can set up in the village that will smack the demons when they come walking past. Later in the game, or in the demo rather, there's multiple demon portals, so you have to be very careful about where you put all of your dudes. So, very cool. Gameplay-wise, very well thought out and constructed. I really like the loop. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it has a lot of potential. And you can all hear the butt coming. Here it is. And it is a great big butt. But the camera controls, man. Oh my. Oh my heavens to Betsy. Oh good gracious me. Holy biscuits. The camera controls. Now, the issue here, I believe, is twofold. Number one, mechanically, it is exceedingly difficult. Not part of the challenge, I don't feel, like an intended part of challenging gameplay. I think an unintended consequence of how the system is set up. So, you can pick your villagers and station them in anywhere you want. The problem is the way the game works makes it incredibly difficult to figure out which villager you have selected and where you want them to go. Especially if they are not in view, they're not on the current screen, they're somewhere else in the village. There's, at least as far as I could tell, there's no really good way to just get a good overview and say, okay, here are my dudes, I want one here, here, and 2 more over here. You kind of are just stuck on one small portion of the map, and you're like, are you that person? Or it's like, okay, you look at your wheel and you're like, okay, I've got 2 archers, 2 hatchetmen, and 1 healer. So I want the hatchet wait, is this hatchet person the one who's in front of me, or is this one the one that I specifically stationed over there? Because if I move them here, are they going to run away from where I had them in the first place? It is obnoxiously difficult. Placing your troops in strategic locations should be a breeze. It should be simple and intuitive. That should not be a challenge. Deciding where to put them, deciding where the best place to make the most strategic use of your allies should be the challenge. Actually physically getting everyone where they need to be should not be the challenge, methinks. So that's a big problem. And I was constantly stymied and frustrated by the fact that I just had an enormous difficulty getting the people I wanted in the locations I wanted. That was more challenging than beating up all the crusty demons that kept pouring through the portal. The second part of the problem is, no matter how much I tried, I could not get the camera to stop zooming up and pointing straight down at the ground, which was not the angle I wanted. That angle I found absolutely no help in any situation whatsoever. You have free camera control. You can spin the camera 360 degrees around your character, and you can tilt it all the way up so that it's staring straight at the ground. You can't point straight up to the sky. You can lower it so you're staring straight at your hero's butt, which is lower than I think you need. I think you want a little bit of elevation so you can see past your hero's butt to the monsters that you want to slap in the face for being all monstery. But at no point is it useful to stare straight at the ground. Um, I think, or I would propose it would be at least worth trying, is honestly just lock off the camera. I don't think you need that much camera control. Because the whole game, or at least the portion that was available in the demo, takes place on the side of a mountain. Which means that all of the levels I've seen thus far, you know, one side is just cliff going up and the other side is just cliff going down an empty space. So you're almost always going to want to stare at the mountain. So your camera is almost certainly always going to be pointed in the same direction. You don't want it on the ground. You definitely don't want it up in the air pointing straight down. Honestly, I think this game really would have benefited from just not being able to control the camera. Just a smart camera system that pulls the camera back, shows the entire area like a diorama, and then just pans left and right. And maybe zooms in and out if you need. But, you know, you can zoom out to get the big picture, but then zoom in and focus on the battle, and I think that something like that would be perfectly fine. As it stands, the game comes out this week, so the demo is probably pretty close to the final version of the game. So I don't have a whole ton of high hopes for them changing the camera controls. Maybe in a future patch or something, but honestly, if it weren't for the camera, I probably would have picked this game up. Unless it's $70 or $60. So as long as it's less than $50. But as much as I really liked every other aspect of the game, that damn camera made it nearly unplayable for me. So yeah, unless they change the camera system, I'm sadly not putting that on my Christmas list. Which is a shame, because there's a lot I really, really like about the game. But man, that camera. Oh, man. Goodness gracious me, that camera. So, alright, so that's Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. It's a great idea. I love the loop. It's got a lot of cool details, and it's pretty as heck. Nice and colorful. Great monster design, but gracious oh golly, that camera does not bring me joy. So, let's talk about Trails of Cold Steel. Tomorrow on the Sunday stream, we will be starting into the Erebonia arc of the Legend of Heroes games. Very much looking forward to that. So tonight, gonna make some predictions, and when Brian sees this, he can write them down. I have a lot of really dumb predictions, and some that I think I'm pretty close on. But before that, normally I have a video between major titles. I don't think I'm going to finish it by tomorrow morning. I'm certain I'm not going to finish it. I have this afternoon. I finished my the entire first rough draft is done. And it is, let's see. It's over 3,000 words, so I need to do some editing. So I need to finish the script. I need to, obviously, film it. Then I need to edit it, which is going to require pulling up the game and getting a little bit of footage here and there, to supplement what I'm talking about. And then I need to render it and upload it and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to get all of that done tonight. So, probably, I would have liked to have that out before we started Cold Steel, but I really want to play Cold Steel, so we're going to play Cold Steel tomorrow. And that video will be available probably sometime during the week. So, apologies, but I had a busy week at work, and I didn't get a ton of time to work on the script. Also, it took me a while to really narrow down what I wanted the video to what I wanted this video to be, because I had like three major ideas of things I could do for my between games video, and it took me a while to narrow it to, because I have scripts for all three of them in various stages of completion, one just an outline. And so it took me a while to settle on this concept, and then I had to write it. And yeah, all I've got is the rough draft so far. I'm not going to finish it by tomorrow morning. Sorry about that. But hopefully you'll enjoy it when I finish it sometime during the week. Matthew, welcome to the Trails games, one of the most fleshed out worlds in fiction. Yeah, that's but certainly been one of my most fawning compliments on the Trails games is their characters and world building. Feels like an actual real place, and I'm excited to explore more of it. Starting tomorrow. By the way, so what did I decide on? The video will be, let's see, what did I title it so far? Subject to change, of course, but it is 10 hard-hitting criticisms of Trails to Azure. Oh yeah, we get salty in this one. And I swear to God, it's not just 3,000 words of me bitching about Josette not being in the game. At least 500 of the words are not that. So, alright. So let's talk about cold steel. Steel, which is cold. So I have a bunch of silly predictions here. And we're carrying over two predictions that didn't get resolved. One is I had predicted that mimics would show up at some point in the series. The treasure chest that you open, and it's I mean, there are treasure chests with monsters in them, and that's kind of the same idea, but I was like, there should be mimics at some point. So, treasure chests that try to eat, treasure chests that are the monster themselves. Haven't seen them so far. Doesn't mean they don't show up at some point, so that's still on the predictions list. Another prediction I had made is I was trying to figure out who the cast of who the protagonists, what they would be, what their like occupation would be, because in the Sky games we were the bracers. Well, the first and second chapter we were bracers. The third we were Gralsritter for the church, and then in the Crossbell games we're the police. So I was like, okay, so who are we going to be for the Cold Steel games? And I predicted we're going to be students of the military academy. And I didn't just pull this out of my butt. I was using some context here. We ran into female student at the Zamorian Trade Conference, who was from Erebonia and was talking on the phone about her Class 7 and stuff like that. And there was also another cutscene with Olivier who was talking about the military academy. I'm like, students, huh? Ooh, how very anime. So I was like, okay, my prediction is we're going to be military academy students in the next game. I have a feeling I'm probably right about that because Jared was kind enough to, yes, that character that everyone knows and loves, female student. I went back to check her name and she's just listed as female student. Prediction. Her name isn't really female student. It's like Susan or something, right? So also, you guys are great at this. Don't answer any of my predictions in the chat. These are just fun predictions, and I'll discover them as I play through the game. Jared says, "Do you have another about Olivia having an eye patch in the series?" Oh, what did I think I described him as a pirate or something, like with a parrot or something. I forget. I went obnoxious with a. I got part of a prediction right. I think I predicted that he was royalty or something. I can't remember what it was. I have to ask Brian. Where was I? Okay, so Also, Jared was nice enough to give me a New Game Plus save so that I can start the game with all of the bonding points so I don't have to worry about missing stuff like I did with Waji and ended up having to watch that scene on YouTube. So we'll be playing the game. I'll be doing all the stuff, all of the things, but I don't have to worry about who I do what with and when we've got all the bonding points. That's going to be fine. But I did notice out of the corner of my eye that there was there was an option that said something about academy outfits or uniforms. So I think my prediction of students is probably correct. So assuming that that is correct, I have a few predictions based on that. So in the first games, we had bracer jobs. In the Crossbell games, we had support requests. These were our side quests. So I think for Cold Steel, because we're students, the side quests will be framed as homework or schoolwork. These'll be our class assignment kind of things. And instead of BP for bracer points or DP for detective points, we'll have SP, which will be like school points or student points or something. Alright, so the female student at the Zamoria Trade Conference is one of the player characters. And her name is not actually female student. I'm not going to try and predict her name. I have no damn idea. But I'm pretty sure it's not female student. That would be wild if her name was actually just female student. She was on the phone with someone who I should have written the name down. It's like Angela or Angelica or something like that. Some gal on the phone who said she loved her, so I'm going to guess that this is another one of our party members, and she's the resident flirt monster. Angie or Angela or Angelica or something like that. I should have written that down. The name I did write down was Crow, which I read the dialogue, I'm like, is that a person? Yeah, I think it's a person, so I'm going to guess Crow is another player. Let's see. We seem to be in Class 7. It was a V, right? Pretty sure it was VII and not XII. It's either 7 or 12. I'm pretty sure it was 7. So it looks... So... and I'm guessing, I think she said Thor's. I'm going to guess that's like the name of the school. Like we have the Genis Academy in Liberal. This is the Thor's Academy. So I'm guessing we're Class 7, because she mentioned that. And I think Olivier did too. So I'm going to guess we've got, predict that we've got kind of a Hogwarts thing going on where the different classes are like rivals with each other and, compete with each other. So, so it's like, oh, yeah, those no good nicks in Class 3, I tell you what. Putzes, all of them, I tell you. Alright. One of our party members will have a gun, which, I mean, so far, more than one person has had a gun in all of our parties so far. But one of our party members will have a gun, and they'll be the person who shoots Osborne. That's the prediction. Osborne gets shot, I guess it'll be in Cold Steel 2 somewhere. We're gonna shoot him. At some point in Cold Steel 1, 2, 3, 4, at some point, we're gonna get to drive a peace tank. This obviously won't happen until Cold Steel 2, but we are going to lose at least one person who has been a playable character when Guerrilla Fortress disappears because of the Aeon blinking it out of existence. Someone we know who has been a player character is going to be in Guerrilla Fortress at the time, and they're going to blink out of existence. Okay. So that's all the school stuff. Okay. Returning character predictions. Okay. At some point in the Cold Steel games, we're gonna run into Lord Lake Lord. The second? The second. The Imperial Fishing Club is going to be a thing. This seems like kind of a... I mean, unless they totally get rid of fishing, this seems kind of obvious, right? Because the Imperial Fishing Club is from Erebonia. I imagine we're going to run into them at some point and go fishing. And so we're going to run into Lake Lord's... As soon as he stops smooching Princess Kaguya over at the boathouse in Crossbell, they're going to go home to Erebonia. So we're going to run into them at some point in the Cold Steel games. The Kapuas are Erebonian, so we're going to run into Josette again sometime in Cold Steel. We will also, at some point in Cold Steel, run into Anton and Ricky. They're going to be there somewhere, doing something, and it's going to be great. We will also run into Felicia and the other girl. Felicia and the other got her servant, maid, assistant, something. What the hell was their name? I don't remember. But they were the two that were staying in the inn in Mines Village. They were... I think she's like some merchant's kid from Erebonia, so they went to Mines Village to barter on Sepith or something like that. I'm gonna guess that, and they went home at some point, so I'm gonna guess we're gonna run into Felicia and, I blanking on her name, and I skimmed through my videos, but I couldn't really find them, and I haven't turned on the, I've been busy with the script, so I was gonna turn on the game and see if I could find them in my save files and look up her name, but... So Felicia and the other girl. We'll find them in, Please drag the script of the series off your other monitor. Please... Hi, by the way, hi Caleb. I don't understand what you mean. Please drag the script of the series off your other monitor? I don't know what you mean. Be more... I'm genuinely confused as to what you're asking me to do. Let's see, where was I? Felicia and the other girl. Blue Blanc! Blue Blanc will steal something and make us find it. We'll have to go on more fetch quests for Blue Blanc. And we'll also run into Gilbert! It was a joke, these predictions are white hot. Okay, you think I'm reading the script for a Cold Steel? Okay, yeah. The problem is... The Trails, the Legend of Heroes series is like the only thing I'm going complete blackout on. Like, I can see that Trails into Daybreak trailers are, you know, like in my YouTube feed, I'm just like, nope. Do not recommend, or don't show me this video, don't want to watch it. It's like, I could have probably pretty easily Googled who the hell Felicia's friend's name was, but I'm so afraid that if I look up a character on a wiki that I'm going to learn their fate, or that they're actually the prince of something, or... Like, imagine if I'd looked up something about Olivier and found out that, you know, he was the Prince of Erebonia, right? So, which is what... You'll see this come up here in a moment, because I don't know what... well, here. I just said Blue Blanc. We'll have Blue Blanc. Let me skip ahead to... Aaronrod's feisty minion will show up. I don't remember her name, and I really didn't want to Google it, because I was afraid if I did, that would confirm it. So, Aaronrod had 3 minions. One of them, the third one you fight, the one whose eyeball... They all had profile portraits, but one of them you could see her eyes, and she had personality to spare, so I think she's going to show up again at some point. What was her name? I don't remember her name. It started with a D. It's not Deborah. So, Denise. Doily. Duvet. Something. Duvet? No. That's close. I don't know. But the feisty one with the eyeball. The one with the eyeballs. We'll see her again. We'll also see Gilbert again. Is he Erebonian? Not so far as I know. He started as the mayor's assistant in Rouen. I think he's Liberalian, but he's probably not really welcome there anymore, so maybe he'll try to start a new life in Erebonia. But I miss Gilbert, so I'm hoping we see Gilbert again. This is more of a wish list than a predictions list, but Duvali. What did I say? I said Duvet? Yeah, I was pretty close. Duvali. Duvali. There we go. Duvali. Yes, we'll see her at some point. Yuna. The gal with the pink hair who has a profile portrait but absolutely no bearing on the plot whatsoever will show up, but not until Cold Steel 3. Because we know where she is in Cold Steel 1 and 2. She's over at the Academy in Crossbell. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to see her until at least Cold Steel 3, but she's got to show up at some point. There's got to be a reason she has a profile picture. Right? Well, don't answer that, but, so Yuna, not till at least Cold Steel 3, but I think we'll, I think she'll be showing up. And finally, with returning characters, or, well, actually not returning characters, but I think we'll get to meet Olivier's dad and stepmom. I'm sure Olivier's in there somewhere. But I think we'll actually get to meet his family, his dad and his stepmom. If I'm remembering correctly, I think his mom is actually dead. I think she's gone, if I'm remembering right. Is she dead? I think she's dead. Can't remember. I have no memory. If she's dead, I have no idea how it happened. I don't remember that part, so I could be making that up. But anyway, I think Olivier's family. We'll get to meet Olivier Senior and stepmom. All right. Locations. I've only got one for this. We'll visit the ruins of Hamel at some point. So there. All right. So I thought it would be fun with my last few predictions here. Yeah, Olivier's mom, dad cheated and made it with some other lady who was not a royal, and so I'm getting some things right. Well, hold on to your horses here, because I'm about to predict the plots of Cold Steel, of the Cold Steel games. All right, so Cold Steel 1 is going to be the run-up to the Civil War. This is going to be the game where we meet our characters and learn about Erebonia as a whole, and there's going to be the darkness on the horizon kind of a thing, and it's probably going to end with the Civil War starting. Cold Steel 2 is going to actually be the Civil War. Now, for Cold Steel 3 and 4, I was thinking, is it going to be the occupation of Crossbell? The invasion and occupation of Crossbell? Are we going to actually play that, but from the other side? That would be really interesting. But, I don't know. I think the occupation of Crossbell will definitely be a huge part of the plot. We may even take a trip over to Crossbell, but I think Cold Steel 3 and 4, I'm going to predict that it's not just playing through that sequence. I think more stuff is going to happen, because Crossbell is that bit between Erebonia and Calvar that they're fighting over, and Erebonia invades and occupies it, which would seem to put them in some advantageous strategic position that would allow them to start making some major moves. What major moves? I have no earthly clue. But I think them using that stepping stone to start doing things to do whatever the hell they're trying to do, like start taking other territories, like they might like it's hard for me to guess because I don't know like geographically where the hell anything is, but maybe they'll like annex Le Mans State or something like that, because that's a little area that we got to visit in the prologue of second chapter. I think we visited it in the third too, or at least the Phantasma portion of that. I don't think that was a weird thing about the conclusion of Azure for me. It's like, oh hey, look at this stuff. You think this would be like the third Crossbell game, right? The third Crossbell game would like be Lloyd and his friends dealing with the occupation, but I guess not. Maybe we'll see it from the other side, but I think it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a plot, but I think Cold Steel 3 and 4 are going to be focused on the other things that occupying Crossbell allows Erebonia to do. And that's really friggin' vague. So good luck writing down whatever the hell that prediction actually is, Brian. And then we've got Trails into Reverie. What preposition is it using? I forget. But Reverie, I have a fun prediction for this one. You guys are going to like this. So my prediction for Reverie is it's going to be somewhat like Trails the Third. It's going to be a celebration of all that's come before. It's going to gather up all of our favorite people into one spot to combine forces to do the thing, right? But I think but we've got 3 entire arcs worth of people here, so I think it's going to do the Dragon Quest IV thing, where it's going to switch perspectives chapter to chapter. If you've ever played Dragon Quest IV, you start with Ragnar, the knight of whatever thing, and you do a whole chapter, and you play this one guy. And then the second chapter, you play 2 completely different people. Is it the Dancers and the Fortune Teller? Or is that chapter 4? I don't remember. And then the third chapter, you're Taloon, the not innkeeper, the item shop dude. And then there's chapter 4, and you play 2 more people. And then chapter 5, you play the hero, and all of the people that you played throughout the previous chapters come together like that. So my big prediction concept is for Reverie, we're going to have like a chapter where we play our Estelle and Joshua and our liberal friends, and then we'll switch to a Crossbell chapter where we play with Lloyd and friends, and then we'll switch to another chapter where we play with our Erebonian friends, female student, and Angela and Crow. And maybe Yuna. And then the finale will, after it's done flopping perspectives chapter to chapter, the finale will bring everyone together in one big, tasteful orgy of gaming goodness. So that's my Reverie prediction. Because I really like Dragon Quest IV. it's Dragon Quest IV is my favorite RPG. Would I say it's the best RPG? No, but it's definitely my favorite. Kind of like how Ghostbusters is my favorite movie. Is it the best movie? I wouldn't say so, but it's still my favorite. What's funny is all of my favorite things are probably all of them prior to 1995, right? Ghostbusters came out in 1984. Dragon Quest IV probably came out in like 90. My top five movies are, Ghostbusters, which again is 84. Jaws, I think, was 75. Little Shop of Horrors, which is like 86. That's the Frank Oz musical one. The Blues Brothers, which I think is like 80. And then A Nightmare Before Christmas, which I think is 91, 92 maybe. So, yeah. All of my... I will probably never have favorite things anymore. All my favorite stuff is from when I was a literal child. But, yeah. So, there we go. Hopes for Dragon Quest III success so we can get Dragon Quest 4 through 6 remakes. Yeah, man. It really depends on... I've heard that they're doing... that's all my predictions, by the way. I don't have anything else. And I don't think I skipped anything. Let me look at my list again. Pardon me. Yeah, I think I got everything. Okay. What were we talking about? Dragon Quest III, the new remake. Oh God, what do they call it? It's a HD 2D, 2D HD, something, some weird subtitle to it. But the remake of Dragon Quest, the first three Dragon Quest games, I've heard that they're adding some new story chapters. So, depending on how different they are, I might consider picking them up because, especially, it would be hard. Dragon Quest. Particularly Dragon Quest 1 is, by today's standards, just so bare bones and simple that I still love it because, I played it when I was 7 years old or something like that. And it was my baby's first RPG. But I don't know how much fun it would actually be to play the original Dragon's Quest today. Or Dragon Quest, I think it's singular. But if they do enough to make these... If these are kind of like what Capcom's doing with the reimagined Resident Evil games, then yeah, I might consider picking them up. And I agree. I hope they do 4, 5, and 6. I've never played 5 and 6, because that's when it switched over to PlayStation. I've never played 7 either. I did play 8, though, because I got a PS2 because it was given to me so I could write guides. So I got Dragon Quest 8. Played 9, didn't care for it, mainly because it was on the partially because it was on the DS, and partially because they did this weird thing where your characters weren't like characters, they were just like character avatars or archetypes. And I put about 30 hours into it. It's still a pretty good RPG, but I just didn't connect with it because there was no character, and also I really did not want to play it on the DS. And then 10, I think, was the MMO, which I don't think ever even came out here, and I don't think it would have mattered because I don't like MMOs. But 11 was great. Really liked 11. So yeah, if they 4, 5, 6, 7 do, they have actually remade them in the sense that they have new versions with new art, but these new ones, 3 and 1 and 2, the HD 2D or 2D HD, whatever they're calling it, look like more full-on reimaginings than just remakes or redraws, if you will. HD 2D. Popularized by... it's a little bit different than... It's certainly a very similar style to Octopath Traveler. Although I do appreciate that it's not blurring the background so bad. Like the depth of field... Octopath Traveler I quite like. I think it's quite attractive, but I also think that the depth of field blur is, like, way too damn close. Like, I get you want the focus in the foreground, but sometimes I like casting my gaze into the pretty, pretty background and go, ooh, look at the mountains and the landscape and the sunset and the trees and stuff. But in Octopath Traveler, it's like, let's look into the, oh my god, a blurry mess. who has wiped Vaseline all over Mother Nature? Yeah, kinky schmuck. So yeah, it's they from what I've seen of the footage, they are quite attractive. So, that's all I've got for tonight. So, really looking forward to Cold Steel tomorrow. Will be the configuration tool that pops up when I launch the game. It appears that there's an English dub, so I'm going to set it to that. I think that will accommodate my viewers much better than the Japanese voice track. That way, when there are voiced cutscenes, you don't have to stop whatever you're doing and stare at the screen and try to read the dialogue. So hopefully that will work, and I asked around, and no one said that the dub was ear-splittingly bad, so I think it will be fine. Alright, so a shorter podcast tonight, but I want to continue crackling along on my 10 hard-hitting criticisms of Trails to Azure script. Not going to have that done by the morning, but I'll hope to have that done sometime during the week. In the meantime, it's very good? Great. Alright, in the meantime, have a good evening, everyone, and I hope to see you all tomorrow for our jaunt into Erebonia as we start streaming Trails of Cold Steel. So, have a good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.